Good morning, everybody. Mike Wright, Edge Home Finance. I truly appreciate you all joining us today, and I'm very excited to introduce to you an amazing realtor, Angela Thompson, out of Winona. She works for Coldwell Banker, River Valley.
Yes.
And an amazing friend of mine, Steve Lillestrand, who highly encouraged me to interview you. So I appreciate your driving up here. And keep in mind, folks, this beautiful soul came up 2.5 hours to do this? 2 hours?
2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that is, now she may have come up also to get a dress, but I'm just saying that,
There's always an alternative motive, right?
Yeah, let's just call it what it is. So anyways, Angela, how did you get into this glorious world of real estate?
Well, I have always loved homes and bought and sold over the last 35 years, several.
Yeah.
More in the last 10 than I ever thought. But, I was a stay-home mom for like 17 years.
Wow.
Did personal training, had a little jewelry business on the side. I've always loved sales.
Yeah.
But life changed, and I thought, my kids are in high school. I think I want to try this. So I jumped in with both feet, and here I am.
Well, you've been looking at your numbers; they're amazing, right? And so, what have you? You had stated you've been a single mom. Now, the other thing I want to impress upon all you is she is passionate about being at work by 7. But what that means is her training that she does every single day is done at what time in the morning?
Well, I do various now, but I used to be, personal training 4:30, 4. Whenever, people only can personal train when they're not at work, which is outside of the normal work hours. So,
Yeah.
I just had to make some accommodations. And
has that personal training helped you in your business?
absolutely, just making those relationships and building that trust between people, whether it's their body or their house.
Yeah. I love it. And so Steve, who is Steve Lillestrand, who's a tremendous friend of mine and been a friend for a lot of years.
Elementary school?
Yeah, well, pretty close. Now, my memory doesn't go back way back, but has he ever cooked for you, by the way, at the office?
He actually has, and I've actually called a couple of times for some recipes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he's fabulous.
He is, he's an amazing cook and a great guy. So tell me, he manages 4 offices, 3 offices?
4 or 5 offices, yeah. We have about 7.
And so how has he been with you?
Awesome. And I'm kind of all over the board with time, but he always answers his phone. And if he doesn't answer, he shoots me a text. I'll call you in a few. I think I talked to him the other night, like at 9 o'clock at night, asking him on, his advice on a lease. And he's always there, always thinks outside of the box. And I don't know if there's anything he hasn't come across in his career.
Yeah. Well, and I think that his personality is one to help, right? He's kind and, yet he can be, on it when he needs to be. But
yes. He would have my back in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I love it. And that's important as a manager to you?
Yes.
So Winona, tell me about how long have you lived there? And
well, I have lived in Winona about 20 years. I'm not sure when I get to call myself a townie, but I'm sure I'm not there yet.
Right.
So, my kids have all gone to school, graduated, and now they're all graduated from college even, and getting married and having, their own families and lives and careers. So I've been able to dive into this pretty good and full time.
Yeah, well, but I think the important thing, and you and I spoke about this too, is it's not always been easy, right? This business, for all you, the ebbs and flows, same with my mortgage business, can be dramatic. And it's a matter of how do you plan for it, but more importantly, how do you overcome those downfalls when you have them? Tell us a
Well,
little bit about
you start out and it's hard. You're trying to build that business. You're trying to make contacts. You're reaching out. You don't have the confidence of, going from start to finish, from, finding a house to all the way to the closing. So, it was a process, and I was thankful that I had a good support team at Coldwell Banker that helped me kind of through that. But as, the years went on, I've been doing this for 9 years. Every year have gone a little bit better. There's been a couple of years that I've stayed about the same in, numbers at the end of the year. But I finally made it over that hurdle. And it could be, I have enough buyers and sellers that I've helped that have thought, you know what, I did okay. I didn't screw it up. I still like her at the end of the day. That we're going to refer her on to other people. So that's where a lot of my businesses started to come from in the last year, maybe 2 or 3 years even, is just that building those relationships, building that trust, where I have kids that I've helped their parents buy. Yeah. I've had parents now that have their kids, and now, their friends. So it's kind of been that trickle effect that I will embrace all the way.
Yeah, no. And I think, and we talk about this every week, consistent, persistent, and being patient, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's, so you do both listings and buy side.
Yes. I'm about 50-50, really.
Yeah. And what I find so amusing is you take it from bell to bell. Right?
Yes.
There is, and is that overwhelming, knowing the volume you do?
I have an assistant that is amazing. She's not only an awesome assistant, but she's also my best friend. And, I get done with a listing appointment, and I'm like, I think I nailed it. And then 2 days later, I'm like, I didn't. They didn't go with me. And she's like, well, everyone has to sell. You're just not the right fit. Maybe you can sell it.
Right.
And so, I think that, but, it's just, I have a great team that helps me from the start to the finish, from the title people, from the bankers. And I try to build that relationship with each person that's involved, even on the buyers or the seller side, whichever, just because we all want the same thing. We all want the house to close, and we want everyone happy at the end of the day. You have inspection issues that pop up. You have life things, there's so many different personalities that's involved when you start down that trail. So it's kind of a dance that you have to do with some people.
Well, and I love the way you lead me into that question. Thank you very much. There are so many personalities, and you aren't going to win every offer. You're not going to win every listing appointment. You're going to have appraisal issues. How do you handle all that? Besides working out more,
Well, usually I kind of take a deep breath. And that old rule of thumb, 24 hours?
Yes.
So I always answer my phone. I always answer a text. And if I can't, I shoot them a message, and I kind of give them a ballpark of when I can. Because sometimes I just need to wrap my head around, like, that appraisal came in $30,000 under asking or accepted offer. What am I going to do? So there's just, sometimes I just need some time to process it. And then I think, you kind of look at the personality of the buyer or the seller and think how are they going to, how should I approach them on this? Because everyone has a different way. They want to know right out front, like what it is, or they want to be eased into it. So I kind of do that approach. I just kind of think about it. I'm not a jump and answer spur of the moment. I usually will say, let me think about that.
But I think that's brilliant. I think that's where we all get into trouble, is the explosion, right? The immediate reaction, and it's usually not constructive.
No. And once you've blown a hole in that fence, you can't fix it.
Right.
And they're going to always think of you. You're the one that blew up at me on the phone. And I'm like, most of the time I get really quiet. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, just thinking about this. Let me call you back in a few minutes.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, that is many can learn from that.
Well, the thing is, all agents, most of the time you want to do more than one transaction with an agent.
Correct.
And And I don't want them every time they see I send them an offer, come across their desk, like, oh yeah, I remember last time she asked for 19 things in the inspection and she was just a bear cat to work with, wouldn't return my phone call. So I never want agents or brokers or bankers or title people, I don't want anyone involved in the business to ever think that.
Yeah, I like it. And that's but again, that's a beautiful trait, right? And because I don't think it's not an industry-wide trait.
No.
So I applaud you for that.
Yes, thank you.
You talked about your kids' parents. Now you're the kids of the parents. You're helping all these people, and I always call it the low-hanging fruit, right? Friends, family that know, trust, and like you.
Yeah.
How important is that to you?
That it's super important. I try to touch base with them. I don't do a ton of social media, but yet I do. I try to set designated times because you go down that rabbit hole and you're like, ooh, 4 hours later, I'm like, I'm still on Facebook. So I try to set designated times, like in the early morning or in the evening, just kind of getting my head wrapped around starting the day or wrapping it up. Touch base with people that I've had that's come across my world and I've done deals with. So I try to touch base with them that way, and see them. It's just. I care about people and
Yeah.
I want to know that they're doing well, and I love seeing success and I love seeing those puppy pictures and new babies, and so to me it just comes naturally to interact with people, and and I know there's some people that are like, I've helped them and I've helped them sell and buy, and they don't use me the next time, and there's always a reason. Their son got into it, or their friend is now selling, or something, and I always try to think positive. I always like to see people succeed, and you can't just be one.
Yeah.
It's gotta be multiple of us that out there doing things.
Well, and I absolutely love that. So, other activities, right? You got your training. Mm-hmm. Do you do face-to-face meetings? Are you dialing open houses? What's your mojo?
So I try to do and it's hard because there's so many community activities, but I try to do a few, chamber events and try to get out there so people, I can see people can see me. I want to be involved. I'm a big supporter of the YMCA.
Yeah,
so I
good.
always donate. I used to do a scholarship for a family. I did that for 2 or 3 years, and I just decided that my money could go better other places.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge supporter of the YMCA and health and fitness, just because I think I think that's important to be healthy and just move, and whether that be in a group fitness class or bike class or just coming to the Y to take a shower.
or personal trainer.
Or personal trainer. Now I do group fitness. I don't do any personal training.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
because I can hit more people and I can go in and out, and I have a set time.
Yeah, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
that helps your schedule.
It does. It's just easier that way.
So, do you do open houses? I mean, what are your thoughts on that stuff?
Open houses. Someone just asked me this morning driving up, do you think we should do one this Saturday? It is so hit and miss with the weather in Minnesota.
Right.
If it is beautiful, people are going to be out on the river. They are going to be on their bikes. They're going to be climbing. They're going to be at a winery or a brewery. So I kind of watched the weather, and I've decided I'd much rather promote a radio ad or an online social media of a new price, of something spectacular about the house, rather than sitting there
At an open.
waiting, being passive aggressive
Right,
about this,
right.
because you're just like, and most of the time it's just a neighbor popping in to say hi, or my friend like, I brought you coffee and a scone. I'm like, yes.
That's right.
So anyway, I'm not a big one on open houses.
How do your clients handle that, right? Because they want to show my house.
Then I'm like, how about if I put this money towards advertising,
Yeah.
rather than what it's going to cost me to sit in that open house for 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah.
Because I won't do an hour. I either do 2 or 3 hours for an open house, because if you're going to be there, you might as well be there.
Yeah, no, and I think that rebuttal, if that's what you want to call it, is smart, because people want their homes sold. They want them sold immediately for the
Yeah.
highest price, etc. How do you, in this market, and I'm not sure 100% about Winona, but how do you list prices, all right? Because you run into that quandary of, here's what the market is, but here's what my clients want.
Well, I try to do a really good CMA, which is a comparative market analysis, which all of you guys know that. I try to do that, and I show it to the client. I sit down, I'm like, here's what is out there. Here's your actives, here's who your competition is going to be. Here's what's pending. We don't know what the price is, but we will at closing. And here's the ones that have closed in the last year. And I try to give them a range. And then, of course, you have those people like, I want the highest price. I'm like, you might sit there for a while.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's still thinking COVID. They're still thinking those last 2 years, low inventory, great interest rates, which I'm not sure if we'll ever see that
All right.
again. But, you know, they're still thinking that. So you just have to let them know, like, things have shifted. You know, their houses are sitting a little longer. We have houses that are expiring. My goodness, we haven't seen expireds for 3
Correct.
years.
Yeah, correct.
We have price reductions. Who ever heard of a price reduction in the last 2 years?
Right.
So, you know, and I have agents like, maybe 6 months ago, I would have a couple agents like, what's wrong with it? It's sit on the market for 14 days. I'm like, 14 days? How long have you been in the business?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, nope, we're getting back to a more normal, healthy market where we're getting a few more houses and they're staying a little longer. Buyers have options, which, hooray for her buyers, because how sad was it them to buy a house and not do an inspection? Let's do an appraisal gap of $30,000.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, you also have to give up your firstborn child
Right.
and move in 2 weeks.
Right.
So, you know, when I got a few of those phone calls, they're like, there's a bucket in the attic catching a drip. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it breaks my heart that they've spent $30,000 over asking, and now they have $10,000 in repairs that an inspection would have caught.
Correct.
And we could have just addressed it and dealt with it. And so I'm glad to see that stuff coming back, and I'm glad to see.
Right? The
Yeah.
normalcy. And interest rates are fine. I mean, interest rates are not,
You know-
they're back to where they used to be, and everyone knows that. And I think they're starting to get used to that.
I think so too. You know, I rarely have an interest rate question unless it's someone that's sitting in a house that's at 3.1 or
Right,
I
right.
heard someone the other day 1.9. And like, how can you go to that to 7 or 6.5? So I'm like, well, just sit there for a while, or do it and then watch for the interest rates to go back down and refinance. Keep us all
Amen
in
to that. I
business.
like,
Keep
you
us
know,
all in business, right?
That's the name of the
So,
game.
yeah.
So we've learned a lot about you. Give us your superpower. What is your, like, what gets you up every day and gets you excited about this business? And I'm already going to lead into this. It ain't money, right? I think money follows your passion. Once you take care of your clients first, now how is that as a lead?
That is awesome. That money follows. But the thing is, I love that it's something different every day. I love that I get to talk to different people, different personalities. I'm doing something different. Yesterday I dealt with a gas leak, and I met this awesome technician. He was so cool. Found out we're both from the same area in Okoboji, Iowa.
Oh, wow.
And I knew right where his mom's house was. So I love the people that I get to meet, and that it's not behind a desk every day looking and doing the same thing. And I know there's a niche for everyone. I just know that wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And I just love the variety, the people, the flexibility. I do love to travel, and I am never not working.
Yeah.
So I like I set time aside, so I will have hey, I'm going to be on the computer. I'll tell my husband, I'm going to be on the computer from 7 to 9, so go hit the gym or go have coffee or whatever. I'll be ready to join you at 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I always am working, but I love that flexibility that I can go anywhere in the world and still work and have contacts. And, it's just a little planning and prepping and making sure your clients know that, I can I can text, email, phone.
Yeah.
I'm just not physically going to be there. So I love that.
And I think the important thing that you passed by quickly, but it's to have a significant other that understands.
Oh, my husband is amazing, and he only puts up with me too, because I'm like, he'll be mid talking, I'm like, I'm sorry, I gotta answer this. I go, okay, I was just gonna talk about something like a major trip, but I also got him licensed.
Oh.
So he is a licensed agent as well. So he doesn't sell a lot, and he's like, I feel bad, I haven't sold anything. I'm like, you know what? You are able to open doors and talk to buyers and sellers, and he's a great fixer. He can
good.
fix
Handyman
things as
deal.
well. So
Good.
anyway, I love that, so I do have not only assistant, but I have Brian who can
I love
also help as well. So he's a team player.
It's like I said, and we've all go through this, right? It's our hours that we work, the demands we work, and God bless phones, but God dang forms. We're always on, right? And it's how do you keep that balance?
And it's okay to put that phone on silent.
Yes.
Do not disturb.
And I
get
think
back
that's
to 'em.
important for relationships, right?
It
I mean,
is.
and friendships, right? If you go out with a friend, it's okay to not do it. My kids are amazing, right? Because they will do that. Whereas I'm not great. I constantly got this thing in my phone,
Yeah.
and it gets to be rude at times. So I applaud you for knowing that. Tell me about keeping educated about the market, right? Because you'd said you've helped some people in the Twin Cities, but your area down there can be a vast area, right? I mean, you got Winona, but do you handle all Winona, or are you handling surrounding areas?
I'll handle Winona and surrounding areas. I try to do a little research on, if someone calls and says, hey, I'm going to list in Red Wing, or I have a house I want in Red Wing, or Holman. I try to do a little research. But I've been in the business long enough too. I've built relationships, and I try to stay in contact with other realtors that I really trust and value. And they're my first phone call. They're my first resource. And I'm the first one to give a referral. I'm thinking, let the world go round. I also have a daughter that sells in North Carolina.
Oh.
In the Raleigh area, and she is also with Coldwell Banker, and we've actually made a couple of referrals back and forth.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's great to stay on top of things, build those relationships even outside of your community. I'm a big one to believe on, going to conferences. Doing the state conference, doing your local, and doing the national conference. My daughter and another gal and I are going to Gin Blue this year,
Oh,
so we're
fun.
super excited about that
Wow.
in Atlanta.
That's-
So hopefully we make some contacts there.
Yeah, but that's the key, though, right? And we talked about this last week with another team. Investing in your business is critical.
It is.
Because it's easy to say I'm good. I'm doing $20 million a year. I'm good. I'm good, right? But it's important to learn from others, isn't it?
It is. I think it's huge just to see what other people are doing. And I've done some things that I've been that was an epic fail, and I just know we won't do that again, and we'll try something else. I'm good with change. I like change, but I do like my routine. I have my routine, my numbers. I'm big on setting goals every January.
Nice, yeah.
I take a photo of what I did for the past year, and I'm like, I did all right. And then I erase it because I'm on I do old school blackboard.
Yeah, good.
And
good.
then I do the next goals for the next year. And it is hard because, you always want to increase a little bit, but you don't know what that market is. And I never used to adjust in the middle of the year, but I'm starting to think it's okay to adjust and reset your goals or reevaluate where you're at.
Because you're successful or not. And I
Right.
think it's mandatory that if you're not, it's okay. Don't take it personally. Reevaluate.
Yeah.
Right? Pick up the pieces. And Angela told me a great story where 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, you're almost ready to get out of the business, but because of mentors, friends, etc., you weathered it. And,
I did.
And you've been a rock star over the last number of years, right?
I did. My broker calls every once in a while, and he'll be like, remember that day you called and you said, I'm done? I do. I can tell you what I had on that day. I was so deflated. I had
Yeah.
I had a couple of big sales that fell apart, and I just didn't know what I was going to do. And I had people in the community, people in my, the brokerage, they jumped in and they got me back on my feet. And
Love it.
It was good, yeah.
Well, but that's, I think each and every person, if they looked internally in the mirror, have been through this, right? And so I'm glad you did weather it. The industry is better because of you. So tell me, besides Mr. Lillestrand, who is a great mentor for you, who's influential in your business? I mean, who do you look to as a go-to, whether it's locally or nationally?
Well, when I first started, I remember sitting in the meeting on Monday morning, and she had like a sale, and she had something pending, and she had something closed, and I'm like, she is a rock star. I still watch her, and I appreciate it. And I went to her one time, and I'm like, Jill, what do you do? What is it that makes you good? She goes, you find that one thing you're passionate about, and you stick with it. And she said, volunteer. Find that one thing. So my one thing is the why.
Yeah.
I try to do that. I support all groups in town. My kids all played hockey, and Steve is a hockey player.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
I always support the youth hockey groups and the youth and the high school team. So I always sponsor a whole and try to do that and stay involved with that way.
You love it.
But going back to some people that I really, there's some couple of in our company that I just trust, and they're, I call them like, hey, I have this situation going on. What would you do, or any suggestions for me? I'm not afraid to make a phone call. I'm not afraid at all to say I made a mistake, and I'm the first one to apologize. I'm only human.
Yeah.
And I make mistakes, and I probably can make different choices. So.
Yeah, but I think that's again, I keep saying a great trait, but that is a great trait, because we all get self-centered and we don't want to look vulnerable. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like it or not, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. So tell me about the office. Is the environment, how many agents in the office?
So we probably have about, the saying is.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
What, 10% do of all the agents, 10% does most of
It's our
the
same
deals.
industry.
But we have, in our Winona office, we probably have about 8 to 10 that are pretty active.
Yeah.
4 or 5, 6 that do quite a bit of business.
So is that competitive, or do you try to help one another?
Oh, no, we are super family oriented.
Yeah, I love it.
We are having cocktail hour at a local establishment on Thursday. Since COVID, we haven't done as much, but Christmas parties and birthday parties, and so we try to stay. We're a pretty tight-knit group, and they've been together. I'm still the youngest one in the office, I think. So
steel sharpens steel, right? You hang around people that are going to make you better.
Yep.
So tell me about a myth that you think, everyone gets into this business, not everybody, but it's a paycheck. Boy, you guys get paid, you don't work hard.
You just open doors.
You just open doors, which is probably the case 2 or 3 years ago. But tell me a myth that you've seemed to have overcome that you could help our audience with.
Oh my goodness. So it's not just opening doors. You need to know a little bit more, in negotiating, handling, I never really had thought about how closely I was going to work with the title people and the bankers.
Yep.
Or even an inspector, I don't want to make an inspector mad. That's the last person, They actually have a lot of pull there. So I guess I had not thought about that when I first started, about all the people involved. And then realizing, people go, oh, you make all this money. I'm like, well, it gets split about 6 or 7, 8 ways.
Right.
You don't really make as much as people think you do. So that was one of the things, I think that's probably the biggest myth that I had. I was like, wow, there's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of people that get paid out of that one sale.
Well, and it's how you are the ringleader. How do you ring all these people together with a beautiful smile and say, clients, it's all okay, right? Communication, education.
Well, everyone has a story. Everyone has stuff that happens to them. So I always try to think the benefit of the doubt that if someone's having a bad day, I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah.
And just try to think, we all need to work together to get this all to come together and everyone to be happy at the end of the day when they walk out and they walk into that new house.
Well, that's the key, right? And I think that it's a matter of not burning bridges and, like you said, keeping everybody at peace because they're all your referral sources.
Yeah.
Right? And they all appreciate you, and everyone deals with the obstacles. And the ultimate deal is to keep the clients happy and informed.
Right. The one thing I always say is the best gift you can ever give me is a referral.
Yeah. Well, that's a compliment, right?
Yeah, it is. It's huge. And I have someone that I just sold a house to, well, didn't just, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I was on vacation last week, and he called me and goes, Tracy said I have to call you. You're the one that'll help me get a house. So, of course, 3 houses show up in his price range while I'm gone. So I had a couple other agents helped me, and so I got to actually meet him last night. I go, hi. He goes, oh, so it's nice to finally meet you. So and it's only been a week or 3 or 4 days, but I'm sure in his world it felt like it was a long time.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a referral from someone. I sold her house 3 or 4 years ago, and she referred it on, said to call me. So huge shout out to Tracy. Thank you.
I love that. And I use the acronym CARE, create a referable experience. So it's how do you get a referral before the deal closes? And I think your personality and your education and you're just putting people at ease like you do with me, right? Just is a talent. So
it is a talent. I mean, and you have to be, some people I feel like it's forced,
Yes.
And I always think, okay, when we get to the table before we're doing the walking through, am I good asking for a referral? Are they going to be happy with me? Sometimes it's hard. People have different personalities. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bug them about that. But
do you like doing that? I mean, or do you do that?
I've gotten better. I have gotten better. It was very hard at first. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence in myself and making sure that they were happy. And I struggled with it. But the last couple of years, it's getting easier. I think you just do it. It's like ripping that Band-Aid off and just going for it.
Well, and it's interesting. And Jake and I talk about this a lot. Loan officers, right? We always got to make that call. And as soon as the other person picks up, it's like, oh God, it's like a spam call, But I mean, we all have to do this,
yeah.
And it's all for the handing referrals back and forth. And it's not a one-way street. It's how do we make everyone better?
Right.
And so your personality is good.
That worst phone call is, oh, we went with someone else.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Good. Congratulations. Good luck.
Yeah.
As you're going,
As you defriend them on Facebook,
I am not. So that's where that 24 hours comes in. You have to just think about it and just realize, I've had a couple this year that I've been very heartbroken. I'm surprised they didn't go with me. And then, the more I think about it, I'm like, well, I realize, and that's one thing about a small community. And Facebook, you know everything. You know who everyone's buyers are and everyone's sellers.
Yeah.
So, there's a reason. And it could be they just don't care for me.
Yeah.
Which I just have to wrap my head around that.
No, and I think it's an important feature, right? I mean, we're not for everybody. That's the reality of it.
Right. Or we'd all look like Barbie and Ken, right?
Well, that was a nice plug for Barbie. Make sure you hashtag Barbie, right?
Hashtag that.
That gets the views up, So give the audience, we've got probably 900 plus people, right? Many are experienced, many are new. Give a couple nuggets about, besides the 24 hours, breathe, right? Tell us a few things you have learned.
I think, you have your goals in your head. You know them, you even put them on your phone, but there's something about writing them down and having them in front of you. So I do long-term goals, I do short-term goals, I do a saying of the year, and then I have little sayings aside of like, move forward, don't look back.
Yeah.
Be graceful. And it's got to be somewhere where you see it every day. So I have a huge blackboard right in my entryway as I go from my kitchen into my garage that has this on there. So I see it every day, that I know that I'm worth it, that it could be a great day, it could be a bump in the road. But I set these goals and I look at them every day. And sometimes I'm like, darn it, I'm close, but not quite there. And then just know at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. But I do think writing them down and actually seeing them, whiteboard, blackboard, piece of paper that you tuck in your calendar, or you have it on your computer, post note, something that you can visually see. I just really believe that you can reach them. You can reach your goals. And don't set them too low. You have to set them high.
Yeah, but I think that's where like you said, it's okay to recalibrate every quarter, every half year, etc. So does your husband put like things that needed for the grocery store on that blackboard, or is it, I got yelled at because I ate like the last chocolate bar or something, and
no, and he's still in training. He's still in training. I'm trying to get him to train to he won't even take his phone with him. I'm like, how can you sell something if you don't have your phone with you? I can't even wrap my head around that. In the world.
Right.
So he's gotten a lot better with that, and he'll just tell me like he golfed last night in his league, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be home late. We just got done with dinner, and it was 9. I'm like, 9 o'clock for dinner? So it was fine. I like, yes, I got another hour to watch Mike's videos.
That's right.
So that's what I did. So it was fine. But he's getting better. But he doesn't I think he's scared to death to write on my blackboard that it'll jinx it.
That's fantastic. So Angela, your pieces that you've given us are amazing, and you can tell it comes from deep in your heart, and so that has made you survive in this business. So I applaud you for that. Tell everyone how they can get a hold of you, because oftentimes people here aren't familiar with Down There and they need a referral.
Right. Well, it helps that I have a super simple name, Angela Thompson.
Yep.
You can Google me. You can email me. It's athompson@cbrivervalley.com. You can call me, and I'm sure you guys are going to post the number.
Yes, we will.
I have to do it a couple times. But yeah, I'm easily, I like I said, always answer the phone. I might not at the moment, but I will send you a message and call you within the day.
Well, and I think that that last nugget right there, to me, is probably the most important thing ever. Call people back.
Answer your phone.
Answer your phone.
I have some agents, I'm guaranteed they will never answer their phone. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that scary, but maybe.
Yeah. But at least you respond via text, or you say...
Just know that you're still there. Hey, another good one? Clean out your voicemail. It's so irritating to call and voicemail is full.
I know, right? But that is a critical piece, and it happens.
Yeah. I just think if you're in it, you're in it. And I try to keep on top of it every day and just kind of know what's out there and kind of watch and be an expert in your area. Even if it's just in your neighborhood, know what all those neighbors are doing.
Yeah.
Someone's going to sell at some point.
Yeah, but I think that when you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah.
And I love that saying. That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming up here, because, folks, here's the deal: 2.5 hours. And whether it's a dress or me, God bless
thank you. I appreciate you interviewing. It's been wonderful.
You are an amazing lady. So I appreciate you driving up so much to do this with the group. Those listening, thank you. Y'all mean the world to me. Invite your friends. Let's grow this baby. We've also got an Instagram channel or Instagram page, and that is Realtor of the Week. And then the YouTube channel is spaced Realtor of the Week. So please follow us. You get to learn from the best of the best, and we appreciate y'all tremendously. Angela, thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
the best.
you.
Thank
Yep.
you.